welcome to Sunday's edition of Cracking the Cryptic, where have we got a treat for you today. This puzzle on the screen is by none other than Totally Normal Cat, one of the absolute top-tier geniuses in the world of Sudoku. And very, very, very strangely, this has only 2 stars out of 5 for difficulty over on Logic Masters Germany. It's got an enormously high approval rating, but you would expect that for any Totally Normal Cat puzzle. But the fact that this is actually doable is A, surprising, and B, rather wonderful, because if you're in any way new to variant Sudoku, you might be thinking, oh my goodness, Totally Normal Cat. No, totally not for me. But I think today we all should be able to have a go at this and hopefully finish it. It's called Atom, and I think my chemistry is so bad, but I presume this is some representation of an atom, maybe a particular type of atom. I've noticed there's a radial missing here, but I don't know which atom has a... Well, in fact, I'm not even sure. I was thinking maybe this was a molecule. A molecule is different from atom. A molecule is a collection of atoms, isn't it? So are these meant to be electrons zooming around a nucleus or something? I don't know. But I'm looking forward to the comments which educate me on the nature of the particular type of atom that Totally Normal Cat has put into their Sudoku. Do I have anything to tell you about today? A couple of things to mention. We released a bonus video this morning. If you enjoy our Christmas content, I'm sure you enjoy our Christmas content, but our cryptic crossword content, I released my solve of the Sunday Times puzzle number 5000, which appeared here in the UK last weekend. It's an absolutely wonderful crossword. Perhaps not my best and most efficient solve ever, but I did enjoy it mightily. So if you enjoy the cryptic clues, you should certainly check that video out. Other than that, of course, we have a new reward over on Patreon at the moment. We've had nearly 1,000 correct entries already, which is, I mean, it is absolutely staggering. Well done to all those of you who've managed to get through those 3 puzzles. We know they're a little bit more difficult this month, but it doesn't seem that they're that much more difficult, and the feedback's been great. So if you haven't had a go yet, do try. You've still got plenty of time. If you get an answer to us by the 20th, then you'll be in with a chance to win a prize. Other than that, the only other thing we've got on Patreon at the moment that's new is my solve of Phistomefel's Slitherlink Liars puzzle. A mere 100-minute video. So if you really are looking for sort of Netflix type content, that might be for you. Anyway, let's get on with Atom by Totally Normal Cat. Here are the rules. Normal Sudoku rules apply, i.e. place the digits 1 to 9 once each in every row, column and 3x3 box. Now I've put that in at the request of a couple of emails we've had recently who say they've been recommending our videos to their family. But the family members looking at the videos don't even know what normal Sudoku rules are. So they've said occasionally I might like to mention that. So that's why that's in there. So hopefully that clarifies what normal Sudoku rules means. And then I think we've got between lines today. So digits on a grey line must be between the digits in the circles at either end of the line. So how does this work? Let us imagine this square was a 2 and this square was a 7. Now what we've got to do is make sure that the circles either side of this 2 and 7 act as sort of a maximum and minimum. We must completely enclose the 2 and the 7. So one of these digits needs to be an 8 or a 9, and one of them needs to be a 1 because it must be lower than the lowest digit on the line. And so we just ensure that the contents of the line lie between, not just physically between. Obviously, that whatever we put on these in these two cells clearly lies physically between those 2 cells, but they have to lie numerically between in terms of their quantum. So we must have one digit, we don't know which one it is, that will be lower than the lowest digit, and one digit that's higher than the highest digit. That's how between lines work. Do have a go at the puzzle. The way to play is to click the link under the video as usual. And now I get to play. Let's get cracking and let me resume my battle with this extraordinary mind. The problem with Totally Normal Cat is that whenever you do one of their puzzles, you are sort of reminded, you have it rammed into you how inferior your mind is compared to theirs. But what I can do here actually is start the puzzle using the only thing I know about between lines. The only thing that sort of is obvious about a between line is you can never put a 1 or a 9 on a line, because if you do, let's try and put a 9 there to show you what I mean. If you put a 9 here, what happens? Well, one of these circles now has to be higher than 9, and that just won't work. And I think that means in the middle box we can actually place both the 1 and the 9. The 1 can't go here because of Sudoku, and it can't go on a between line, so it has to go in the middle. And then the 9 can't go on a between line, so it has to go in the corner. Which by Sudoku means we've got a 1 in one of those two cells. And yes, okay. Wow, totally normal cat. It's being generous today. There is an 8 on this little between line, so it must have a 9 on it, and that 9 must go there. That means that 9 is in one of 3 positions, whoopsie, in box 8, and one of 3 positions in box 4, because we can't, remember, we can't put it on a line. Oh, now in fact this is better. I can't put 9 in a circle that connects a line, or connects to another circle by a line, because if I do, that gives us a very sort of philosophical problem about what we put in row 6, column 2, which has to be a number between 9 and 9. Well, we're not going to find any of those, so that cell there can't be a 9. So 9 is now in one of those 2 cells in box 1. Yeah, okay. And now I don't know what to do. Because in some ways the problem with having 1s and 9s in the circle is that it doesn't really put any pressure on the other circles. I mean, this is the highest it could possibly. I suppose it gets rid of 9 there, sorry. Exactly symmetrical logic with the 9s here. So 9 in box 9 is in one of 3 positions. Two. If you put a 2 on a between line, it has to have a 1 in a circle, and that, okay, that seems a bit deliberate. Look at where 2 goes in box 2. It can't go in here by Sudoku. It can't go in here, because if it goes in there, I've got to put digits between 1 and 2 into those 2 cells, and that's just not going to work. Now, it can't go there, because if that's a 2, I have to bound that 2 with a 1 in one of those 2 circles, and that's going to break. Whichever one of these I make a 1 is going to give me a problem on a between line. So that doesn't work, and I don't think I can put 2 there either, because if I do, again I've got to put 1 into one of those, and this time I can't put 1 here because there's a 1 in the column. So that seems a very sort of careful, I suppose is the right way. I've just realised I can put 2 there. A very careful way that Totally Normal Cat has prevented us from putting 2 in any of those cells. So now there's a 2 in one of those cells. Now, is that doing something? The answer is, well, probably, but I don't know what it is. So we're going to have to do something else. Wow, I mean, I haven't got a clue where to look here. I mean, I guess we're lucky we got 4 given digits today, but they don't really seem to do... They don't seem to do very much. This 7 is ruling 7 out of the... Well, of those 3 circles, is that somehow... Is that meant to make me think something? Brain, wake up. All you're thinking is, I don't know what to think, I don't know what to think. No, I don't... And this circle here, it does see a 1 and a 9 through the medium of its between lines, so it's not 1 or 9 and it's not 7. I suppose it's got to be higher than 3, because if I put low numbers onto this between line, I could put 2, 3 there, so this is at least 4, 5, 6. Okay, that's weird. It can't be 8, because if it's 8, I have a problem filling this cell in. So that cell is actually only 4, 5 or 6, which means this cell has to be higher than 4. So that's 5, 6. That's only 5 or 6. That's so strange. I only started filling this cell in because I just didn't have anything else to do. It did not look to me at all like this was restricted, but it actually seems to be quite powerful. Oh, Maverick's going to do a flyby. I haven't heard from Maverick for a while. Okay, so now if this is 4, 5 or 6, what is this one? Well, it's not 2 for many reasons, but I think it could be 3. If it's 3, this would have to be higher than 3 because we've got to get up towards a maximum value. But this could be 4 or 5. If that's 4, this has to be higher than... okay, that is not 4. That's a little bit interesting. If that's a 4, what's this digit? And the answer is, because of this, it can only be 5 to allow a 6 here, and now this cell's got a problem. So again, it does seem to be more restricted than I thought. So this is 3, it's not 4, it's not 5, because if that's 5, we're going to have to make this 4 or 6, and there won't be a digit between 4 and 5 or 6 and 5 that can go in this cell. So maybe this one is restricted now. So it's not 4, 5, 6 maybe. Can it be 6? If it's 6, this has to be 4, that has to be 5, and that can be 6, and that would work. Bother. Or, to use the Cracking the Cryptic version of bother, bobbins. It's not 7. And it's not 9, but maybe it can be 8. If it's 8... that's really annoying. That is really annoying because I think it can be 8, and then we'd step down in this cell. So this cell, the problem with this is that this cell is neither high nor low. It's either. It can be big or little. And that means that we can't, if we knew this was a low digit, we could sort of extrapolate this is probably a high digit. But given we don't know whether this is low, medium or high, I'm not sure we know anything about this one. Oh dear. 2 stars out of 5. It's just, I mean, that... Am I missing? Is there some really obvious trick here that we can do? I want to know what this one is. It feels like naturally we've gone from here, we're going around the wheel. I don't know which way electrons rotate around a nucleus, but I've probably got the wrong way by going this way. And to totally normal cat, it would have been completely obvious you were meant to go the other way. How do we limit this cell? The answer to that is we don't, do we? At least I don't think we do. I mean, I know it's not a 7 or a 2 or a 1. I think that's about, well, 2, 3, and it's got to be at least a 4. So it's 4. Yeah, but it can be 4, because then this can be high. It could even be 4, and this could be middling. I don't like that. I'm not sure this cell is where we're meant to look next. Right, well this is middling. That means these 2 cells have got to be low. So they are 2, 3, 4, or 5. So what would be rather nice is if this is 4, because then I'd get 2, 3, 4 in the row. And then that would have to be quite high. Okay. That does, in fact, that always has to be quite high. That's something that's quite beautiful. Look at this cell. And let's ask how low this cell can be. We can see that it's got to be at least if we put 2 and 3 here, it's at least a 4. But could it be 4, 5, or even 6? And the answer, I think, is no. Because if it's 6, those 6 digits, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, all have to be 5 or lower, which is quite cute. If this is 6, that's forced to be lower than 6. These are therefore forced to be lower than 6. And these have to be lower than 6 because they're on the between line. So that is not able to be 6, and that is at least 7. And that does... Well, does it influence these somehow? I don't know. I'm not so sure it does very much. I mean, this one could be... No, it can be 6, can't it? What it can't be is 8, because that will give this no value. It could be 7. 7, 8, 9 would work. Oh dear. So it's between 3 and 7 inclusive. This is so strange. This one, is that somehow more restricted? I can't seem to make use of any of the givens either. This has got to be, this can't be 8 or 9 because that's going to give us, oh no, it could be 9. Oh no, 9, 8, 7 would work. I don't believe it. So this one's just not, I'm missing something badly about this. I don't understand it. I don't understand how we're trying to limit the electrons in value. That's a 7, 8 or a 9. Is there some reason this can't be 7, for example? If this was 7, these would be 1 to 6. No, yeah, they would be 1 to 6. And this would be 8 or 9, and that would be 8 or 9. 7. Oh, actually, I've just seen what this can't be 7 because of that 8. If that's 7, you've got to go 8, 9, and that's forced because you're going up towards this total, and there's an 8 here, so that isn't possible actually. So at least we get a little bit of restriction here. So this square is 2, 3, 4, or 5, and now this square has to be, well, do we know whether it has to be lower or higher than this one? That's the question I'm asking myself. This one can't be 7. Yeah, this 8 is really interesting because it's ruling 8 out of those two cells, and the effect of that seems to be to rule 7 out of both of those two squares, which is quite interesting. So that cell can't be 8, can't be 7. So it's at least 6. Right, okay. This is ridiculously clever. It's just ridiculously clever. Right, this square here has a maximum value of 6 because it can't be 7, 8 or 9. Now, we know it's also at least a 4 because we could put 2 and 3 on here, so that's going to make 4 here. So this square is 4, 5 or 6. And that's interesting actually for this one, which can't be 5 anymore, because if that's 5, this has to be 4 or 6, and that won't have a value. So that gives us a little bit of more of a restriction here. But the thing I'm actually intrigued by is not so much the effect on this one, but I'm wondering whether I can do this sort of diameter logic across the atom again. Because if this is 4, 5 or 6, these squares are 2, 3, 4 or 5, and now this circle can't be 6 again, because if it is, these two will be lower than 6. All of these will have to be lower than 6, and we'll have 6. we'll have 6 digits in column 5 that all have to be selected from 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. That will mean you repeat a digit. So that's cell, and that cell can't be 7 actually either because of that 7 there. So that's 8 or 9. Ah! And that's not 8 therefore. That can't be 8 because it's going to connect to an 8 or a 9. Aha! Okay, so now this square's got to be lower than 6 as a maximum. So that's 2, 3, 4, 5. There's a 2, 3, 5 quadruple in the middle box. Which means we've got to put 6 and 7 into those cells. Which actually doesn't do very much, to be honest. That's a shame, because these circles, these electrons whizzing around the nucleus, are really high anyway. So having a highish digit on these between lines, I don't think is doing very much. No, I've got it. This is really, I mean, hats off. Totally Normal Cat, again, for making me feel completely and utterly inadequate. But I have finally spotted something useful that's going to give me a digit. That cell can't be 6, can it? Because if that's a 6, this cell has to be higher than 6, because this is the lower boundary of those two circles. And it doesn't seem to be able to be 7 or 8 because of the givens. So that's got to be 3. Which means that's got to be 2, but to lie between the 1. And now we can get rid of some 2's, look. So the pressure now is not on this digit, but probably on this digit. Which can't be 4 anymore. Yeah, because this wouldn't have a value. So this is 5 or 6. So that's got to be 4. And it's got to be 4 because it's got to lie between 5 or 6 and 3, but it can't be 5 or 6 because of the 5, 6 in the column. So that's a 4. And now this look, watch this. This can't be 6 now, because if that's 6, that's 5, and this is the minimum, this is the maximum, and 5 misses being between them. So it's got to be the other way round, which is strange. So these are not 5 anymore. Has that done something for us? Well, I'm actually feeling better about the world now, because I feel like we might be able to do the puzzle. 3 has got to be in one of those cells. 4 here means that, oh, that square's a naked single, is it? It's got to be lower than 5. Yeah, so it can only actually be a 2, so that is a naked single. So that's a 2. 2's got to live down here. 3's got to live down here as well. 2's and 3's down at the bottom of column 2. 3, 4, 5. And now we can... 2's got to be in one of those cells. It can't be on the between line. Oh, and it also can't be on the between line by Sudoku, of all things. We mustn't forget Sudoku in our Sudoku puzzles. This cell here has got to be higher than 3. Okay, so it could be 4, 5, 6. It can't be 7 or 8. Okay, so that's 4, 5 or 6. This cell's got to be higher than 4. So that cell's got to be 5, 6, 7, I think, is possible. It can't be 8. So 5, 6 or 7 there. Oh, I tell you what, this one might be the one to focus on, because these are quite close to each other. So if that's a 4, this has to be 5, this has to be 6. If that's a 3... Oh, no. No. Right, this is more restricted than I'd realised. We got rid of 2 into this cell. That's not able to be 2 anymore, so that's not able to be 3 anymore. So this is 4 or 6, and now this can't be 5. Aha! So these are a 4-6 pair, and the only thing that's going to go between a 4-6 pair is a 5. So that's not 5 anymore. No, that still could be a 4. This could be a 4 with a 3 here. 5 can't be there, 5 can't be there. There's a 3-4 pair in the middle box, so that's got to be 5. Oh, I see. And that's rather beautiful, because that's going to fix that this now has to be higher than 4. So that's got to be 6, that's a 7. That's got to be 4 to frame the 5. That's now got to be 3, because 4 would be not between 1 and 4, so that's a 4. So that's not a 4. The 6 gives us the middle box. 6 and 7 go in. And that's not 4. And can we do any better than that? I don't know. So that cell now has to be higher than 4, and it can't be 5, 6 or 8, so it's got to be 7, I think. It can't be 9. So that's 7. This is 8 or 9. And I don't know what to do. Oh, I know. No, I do. 7, 7. That cell there is a 7 by Sudoku. And that seems to be taking up the position of 9. And that's taking up the position of 1 and 3. Good grief. And that's an 8. Suddenly box 4 is done. These two squares have got to be a 2-4 combination. There's a 4 here. Okay, so that's 4. That's 2. These squares are 3 8s and 9s, I think, by Sudoku. Now, this one can't be 9 because it's on the between line. So this is 3 or 8. Those two squares are 5 and 6, maybe. Ah, so that means this one has to be lower than 5. Well, possibly, no, lower than 6. This could be 5, couldn't it? So it's 5. Oh, that's beautiful. Good grief. Right. Look at this cell. This cell sees a 1, a 2, a 3 and a 4 by Sudoku. So it's got to be more than 4, yet it's got to accommodate the fact it's got to frame this digit. So if this was 6, this would have no value. So it must be 5. And that must be 6 and that must be 5. It's just... how do you come up with this stuff? It's just crazy. Now this digit has to be higher than 5. And it can't be 6 or 7. So it's 8. So that's 8. This is 9. 8's here by... I think this is... yeah. This is an 8 by Sudoku, which gives us a 9. 3 has to be in one of those two cells. And... can we do any better than that? 4? Where does 4 go in box 8? It's got to go there. So 4 is in one of 2 places in box 2. These cells have got to be a 1, 2, 3 triple to compete box 8. That's not 2, that's not 3. 1, 2, 3, look at this square, which is not a 2 or a 3 anymore, so that's a 2, 3 pair at the bottom of column 2. So these squares have got to be 1, 8, and 9, and that one isn't 1 or 9. Sees both, so that's 8. One of these is 8. These two squares have got to be a 1, 9 pair. And we can ask ourselves where... can we do anything here? 8 must be in one of those two cells. No, okay, I'm not sure I can do much better than that. 7 I can place in box 7. Serendipitously enough, it's got to go there. 7 I can place in box 9. 7 I can place in box 3. And 7 I can place in box 2. So I'm guessing all our 7s are done. And that's quite good, presumably. What about this column then? We need 4s, 5s and 6s. Ah, so that's a naked single. That's a 4. This is a 5, 6 pair. And those two squares, therefore, have got to be a 4, 8 combo. And I can see that now we can ask where 4 goes. Oh, we could have already asked this. Let's complete the end of... we've got a 5, 6 pair in row 2 I've just seen. I've got 1, 3 and 4 to place in those cells, therefore. So that's got to be 3. That's got to be 4. That's got to be 1. 1, 2, 3, 4. So 6, 8, 9 into those positions. Let's put those in and see if we can do any better. I've now got an 8, 9 pair in this column. So this cell is an 8 or 9. That is an 8, 9 pair. And those squares have got to be 1, 3 and 5. Right, and there's a 1, 3 pair looking at that. So that's a 5. This is a 1, 3 pair. Therefore, these two squares have got to be 2 and 6, which is probably resolved. Yes, 2, 6, 2, 3, 3, 1. 1 by Sudoku, 6 by Sudoku, 5 by Sudoku. I'm actually noticing I haven't completed the atom yet, so I better... 3. There we go. Now I can complete my atom, because that's got to be 8, so that's got to frame the 8, which must be 9. That gets me this digit. 6, 9 pair up here. This is a 3. That's got to be 9. That's got to be 8. And now what? This column? Yeah, that column's got a 2 here. So that given 2 comes into its own, gives us that. And what about those two squares? Are they a 2, 4 pair? Yes, they are. So that's got to be 2, that's got to be 4. So this is 3, 5 and 6. So that's got to be 6, that's 5, that's 6, that's 3, that's 5. This is all going a bit well now. I'm a bit worried I've made a mistake. I seem to have finished it. Yes. With a flurry. That was crazy. I mean, I don't know whether you guys are the same, but I finish a puzzle like that and I just feel like I'm just in the presence of genius. It's just, I could have had the idea to make a between line pattern with a, that looked like a wheel. I could have had that idea, but could I have done that with it and made it absolutely ridiculously clever? And the way these circles and the way this tiny number of given digits sort of operate in exactly the right exquisite places around the ring, so that everything just gets limited enough that you can do the deductions. It's really cool. It's so clever. And my favourite bits probably were that when you get these, when you've got the circles along the diameters of the atom, I realise that's the wrong terminology, but you know what I mean. You could suddenly limit the other side of the diameter. And that felt important because it gave me a handle on this digit and I think that digit as well. Yeah, it's just sublime. Sublime as always. I hope you enjoyed it. Let me know in the comments. I do enjoy them, especially when they're kind. And we'll be back later with another edition of Cracking the Cryptic.